Welcome back for another episode of the Big Ol' Podcast. I am your host, Julian Ortiz, and on today's episode, I am joined by one of the most influential and recognized superhero fans on social media, a pop culture writer and host for Complex, as well as an incredible content creator, Matt Supes Ramos. Matt, how are you doing today?
I am doing amazing, Julian. First of all, that intro, grade A, bro. A+. Thank you so much for having me on here. It's truly an honor to be able to come on here, talk to you about all the awesome things in life, bring that energy and passion, and I'm excited for what's in store. So let's do what we do best. Let's go to work. Let's have some fun.
Oh, listen, man, you'd say I'm bringing the energy, man. You were killing the energy from the moment that we got in. We had a nice little intro music on our end, and obviously it's where I want to sort of start off with just a little bit. First 2 episodes in the books. By the time this comes out, episode 3 will have been out. Loki, Disney Plus. What are your initial thoughts on what Disney Plus is doing with this Loki series?
Bro, all Disney Plus, all Marvel Studios is doing with Loki is they're taking things to a whole nother level. I think that is something the fans recognized from episode 1. As great as WandaVision was, as great as The Falcon and the Winter Soldier was, and they both are great shows in their own light, they have not brought the scale of the MCU, unlike the other Marvel projects. You know, coming off of Endgame, now we're all looking forward to like, what's the next Endgame? What's Marvel building to now? And we got just a little tiny taste of that in WandaVision, a little tiny taste of that in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. But in Loki, we are getting so much more. I mean, from episode 1, talking about the multiverse, now we're being introduced to variants. Marvel is using Loki to lay the groundwork. Loki is the alley-oop. That's going to the slam dunk. That's going to be Spider-Man No Way Home. To Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And the fact that Marvel is using a character like Loki to set up all of these major projects, it's so unconventional. It's so unexpected. But hey, I'm down for it. I'm loving the show so far. It's currently my favorite Marvel Disney Plus show within its first 2 episodes. So I'm excited to see where the show goes. And I just know that Marvel's taking things to a whole nother level. Diving deeper into the multiverse, the Marvel lore, and fans should be so excited for everything else that they have in store.
And if fans aren't excited from what they're watching, they're definitely going to be excited after listening to you just pretty much break down what Disney Plus has been doing. And I think this is setting a lot of groundwork. Obviously, with Phase 4, no current Avengers title, which is going to be the first time through 3 phases that we're not going to have that team up movie. However, they're diving into many different projects and they've taken a risk. Disney Plus was a calculated risk. How were TV shows going to do well? You know, with Daredevil being on Netflix, and then they had The Defenders, Jessica Jones, all the amazing projects that were on there. This was their first foray into, okay, what can we do when we get into the streaming game? And I loved WandaVision. I know a lot of people, gave a little flack for the way it started, then it picked up. I love the fact that the Falcon and the Winter Soldier was completely different from WandaVision. And here we have with Loki, another entry into the Disney Plus foray. And it is something completely different. And then you got Tom Hiddleston, who's just incredible. What they're doing right now is sick. Lady Loki has dropped. But if anyone doesn't know you, right, this was just a little taste of the kind of topic and discussion and information people can get when they tune in to your channel. So very quickly, give us a quick rundown. If someone wants to subscribe to the Supes channel, what can they expect when getting their content from you?
What they can expect is authenticity. I'm not someone who's going to sound perfectly by the book, sound like if I'm reading off a script. No, guess what? When I first started creating content, I started by walking out of a movie theater and feeling this urge inside me. Like, I got to let this out. I got to be vulnerable. I got to share this with the world. There's something inside me and I just got to let it out. And that's where I took my little iPhone 6, stacked it up on a couple of books, pressed record, and stuttered for the next 10 to 15 minutes. Couldn't formulate a sentence for my life. But guess what? This entire journey has led me to where I am today. And by putting myself in such a vulnerable position, by being authentically myself and putting myself out there to the world, people resonate with genuine energy. Yeah. And that's what you're going to get with me. You're going to get a fan who's loved this stuff since before he could even walk, a kid who's dressed up as these characters, who's read about these characters, who's played with the action figures, who's literally been raised by the movies. So what you're going to get with me is you're going to get authenticity, you're going to get energy, you're going to get passion, and you're going to get a greater conversation. Because for me, I'm not someone who puts myself on a pedestal. I'm someone who just sees myself as a fan. And I'm just a fan that's having a conversation with millions of other fans on the internet. And this is what we do. This is where we're at our best. Because, as great as I am, by myself, we are so much more powerful when we are together, when we are having that greater conversation. This is by the fans, for the fans. And if there's one thing Marvel has taught us is that, again, as great as we are by ourselves, as powerful as we are as individuals, our real strength comes when we come together. And that is my goal on social media, to bring people together, to nerd out, to bring that energy and passion and express it at a whole different level with all of the awesome stuff that's coming our way with Marvel, DC, and all of the awesome things going on in the world of entertainment.
And that's the thing. We focus a little bit on Marvel, but obviously you talk about everything. You're talking about DC, you're doing unboxing, you're doing streaming, you're doing, anything that you can to build your community. But with every great superhero origin story, it always starts with the love and support from family. For you, that inspiration came from your mom. Can you talk a little bit about the impact she has had and how you have turned out to be the great young man that you are today?
I mean, honestly, that relationship with me and my mom, it means the world to me. It's my rock. And again, I've grown up loving superheroes since before I could even walk, but my mom was the first real life superhero that I could look up to. She was real. I love Superman, I love Spider-Man, I love all the superheroes, but my mom was real. And I saw the kindness, the selflessness, all of the traits that we look to in superheroes. My mom contained every single one of those traits. And she's not a perfect woman, but it's not about being perfect. It's about doing the best you can with what we have. And that's all my mom has ever done. She's always put she's always put her kids before herself. And honestly, like just growing up, watching her and the way she parented me and my sisters, it gave me that sense of selflessness to want to just give back to the rest of the world, to want to garden the world to a place where one day my kids can grow up in an environment that's so much more safe, that's so much more pure, that's so much more healthy. And that is my goal. I'm 19 years young, but I'm already playing for my kids. I'm playing for my family. And I feel like I definitely got that from my mom, because she is my real life superhero.
Now I got to ask you quick off the top of your head, we got Martha Kent, Martha Wayne, we got Aunt May. If you had to pick one amazing woman that was the beginning, like a character you had to relate to, who would your mom be?
Definitely Martha Kent.
Okay.
Yeah, Superman, the greatest superhero in the world, a literal god. Yet his innocent mother from Kansas is the rock that holds him together. She's the one who again taught him all of those lessons about what he stands for. Superman stands for so much, but the reason he stands for that is because he grew up listening to his mom, listening to his dad. And Martha Kent is such an important character to Clark, to Kal-El, and it's because he never got to know his real life parents, and his Kryptonian parents. They were great, but Superman became Superman because of Martha Kent. And I think in a way that's the way my journey has played out. I've been able to become the man I am today because of the lessons I learned from my mother.
Now I follow you on social media, as I've said before. As you mentioned, 19 years young. But to this stage, you've partnered with the world's biggest brands like Disney, Marvel, Warner Brothers, DC Comics, Hot Topic, and even many more. If I had to list them all, we'd be here all night. What has that experience been like for you, who someone, as you've already mentioned, grew up loving comic books and superheroes? What has that meant to you at such a young age to have partnered with the biggest brands in the industry?
Dude, honestly, it's been a dream come true. It's something I don't take lightly. It's something that gives me so much more energy every single day, knowing that, again, if I can do this at 19, where am I going to be in 10 years?
Yeah.
And uh again, it's truly such a blessing, and I think it all stems from showing up, trying to bring the most value as possible, showing up willing to give and not receive anything in return. When it comes to collaborating with the biggest brands on the planet, many people, look to collaborate with these brands, but they're asking for money in return. They're asking for their all of these requests when in reality, I'm just here to serve. I'm not here for anything. You don't have to give me a penny. You don't have to give me anything. But guess what? I'm going to show up for you regardless. And I'm going to bring an army of millions of fans to your events, to promote your movies, to promote your shows, because these are the shows that saved me as a kid. These are the shows, movies. This is the media that saved my life, that raised me to be the man I am today. And if I never got a dollar from Marvel, DC, Disney, whatever the case may be, if I never got a dollar from them ever again, guess what? I would still be sitting here talking about their stuff just because it's made me who I am today. And that's something I can never repay them for. So when it comes to collaborating with the biggest brands in the world, it's truly been such a blessing, such a dream come true. And that's why I urge every single person watching this right now to never stop dreaming and never let your dreams be dreams. Set them in stone, schedule your dreams, turn them into plans, make them inevitable, because there's nothing in this world that's impossible. As long as you take something that seems impossible and map it out to where it's inevitable, then that's where the secret sauce is. And again, as long as you're showing up with that passion, energy, and that hunger every single day, because I think that's something that separates the greats from the normal people. It's hunger. People that are willing to never settle at any point in their career, at any point in their life. I could collaborate. I could have collaborated with Marvel, with Disney on an upcoming project and just settled. But guess what? There's still so much more for me to give. There's still so much more for me to do. And I'm waking out of this bed every single day, fired up, ready to show up for the fans, ready to show up for the biggest brands in the world, and take things to a whole nother level.
I mean, 19 years young, and you are philosophical, you are well spoken. You obviously have taken a lot of time and effort and passion into what you're doing. And I've been reading articles on you leading up to this, talking about how you plan your day ahead of time, making sure you write everything down, as you said, create goals. When you first started your channel, what did you initially have in mind? And did you ever think that you'd be where you are right now with the following that you have?
Dude, Julian, the way my life has played out, the way I live my life today is exactly how I saw it since day one. And guess what? I have dreams just remembering where I was back then, remembering how I was speaking my life into existence, and the people around me were telling me I was crazy, were telling me it was impossible, were telling me it was a fairy tale. And guess what? These are the same people that are looking to me now as an inspiration, as a motivational figure for them. And I don't hold anything against anyone, because guess what? If your 16-year-old son walked into the room and said, "Screw college, I'm gonna make a living and create my life based around my passion for superheroes," guess what? You would call him crazy too. But that's exactly what I did, and it's because I saw all of this since day one. I saw the connection with the fans. I saw the events. I saw the premieres. I saw it all since day one, and now here I am. I'm a week and a half away from moving to Los Angeles, moving away from everything I've ever known. I was born and raised in Miami, and I'm about to move away from everything because I'm ready to go all in on the thing that's got me to this point. And it's crazy because when I was in high school, I started creating content in high school, and in school, I would skip classes to like literally jump the fence, skip school, run home, film a trailer reaction because Marvel dropped a new trailer, and then go find a way to head back into school and sneak back into class. And with a specific project that means the absolute world to me, with Black Widow. With Black Widow, of course, because of the pandemic, it got delayed multiple times. But Black Widow was one of those movies where I skipped school. I jumped the fence, went home, filmed my reaction. And you guys can check out these reactions on my YouTube channel. But I went home, filmed my reaction, and then went back and snuck back into class. And now here I am. I'm attending the premiere for Black Widow, And it's so crazy when you think about it, because like I was just a kid that was skipping class to react to the trailers, and now here I am about to walk the red carpet. And that's why I tell everyone to just pursue the thing that lights your soul on fire, and everything else will work itself out. It doesn't matter how it's going to happen. What matters is, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And the reason I do what I do is because it lights my soul on fire every single day. It's because I would do it without getting paid a dime. And that's what I was doing back then. And now I'm making such, I'm thriving so much in every area of my life, financially, physically, like emotionally, spiritually. I'm thriving everywhere because I've just used that fire that's within me, and I've just pursued that and fed that flame. And now today it's a damn campfire, it's a blaze, and it's catching on, and we're not stopping anytime soon.
Are you ready to unveil your beach bod? Well, you're in luck. Our friends over at Manscaped just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. Complement your summer bod with a trim from the leaders in male grooming. Fellas, gone are the days where grooming our man bits need to result in any unnecessary injuries. Since I began using Manscaped's amazing products, I have completely eliminated those tugs, nicks, and hold your breath moments when trying to groom my man junk. I care about my balls remaining accident free, and you should too. So it's time to bundle up with Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Inside this package, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This trimmer is insane, and dare I say, the GOAT of all ball trimmers? Yeah, I said it. Their 4th generation trimmer features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents, all thanks to their advanced skin safe technology, and gives you the ability to turn that 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. Did I mention this trimmer is also waterproof? In the shower or in the wild, and from your chest pubes all the way down to your ball fro, the Lawnmower 4.0 is the best trimmer for you. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ears. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. Seal the deal with Manscaped's liquid formulations. Before heading outside, use the Crop Preserver ball deodorant to keep you on your game in the heat. Then after trimming the lawn and whacking the weeds in the heat, give your beach balls a boost and use the Crop Reviver. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts in their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Bring your comforter boxers to another level. To get 20% off and free shipping, use the code THEBIGO20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping when you use the code THEBIGO20 at manscaped.com. Escape the shrubs and weeds this summer and shine with Manscaped. Watching, or even people listening, you may see the energy coming out of this young man, but it doesn't begin to describe the true energy that is just radiating out of him. He is so excited. He is just trying to find the words to match what he is saying. And sometimes, and I love it about you, sometimes your energy is just so high that we can't listen to the words because we're just so caught up in your energy. And whether it's breaking down a video, when it's describing trailers, when it's doing unboxing, like your interactions with your audience is extremely, extremely amazing, super approachable, down to earth, and your following continues to grow and grow. And when you get featured as a writer and a host for someone like Complex, does that give you the validation that, hey, I'm onto something and what I'm doing is working, and let me continue to build the brand that I've established?
So when it comes to, again, getting recognized by major brands like Complex, working with them, hosting, writing for them, for me, all of the validation I need comes from myself. At the end of the day, any of these companies or brands can turn around the next day and say, Supes, you suck. Supes, you're an idiot. But guess what? If I look to the world for that validation, I would never get it.
Right.
If you look to the world to tell you that you're enough, you're never going to hear that from the world. The world's going to tell you you're going to suck. The world's going to tell you you're a terrible person. The world's going to tell you that you should end it all. But guess what? What are you telling yourself? Because when you can tune out the rest of the world and it gets real quiet in here, and when you can master the inside game and give yourself that validation, give yourself that love, and empower yourself every single day with your beliefs and who you are and your identity, well, then what the rest of the world says doesn't matter. Yeah. Julian, if I told you today, bro, look up, the sky is green, would you believe me?
You know what? From you, I would believe you just because of what you're saying to me. But I totally get what you're saying. I mean, you do it for you. You love the fact that you've been able to build this community. And you're right. I mean, when people start to see your star rise and your stock get even better, there are people out there that are just willing to rip you down, whether they believe in you or they don't believe in you. It's just what they want to do. And it's amazing to see someone like you who has overcome so much, who had an amazing support system, who has been building, and building, not let the small things get to you, when so often, unfortunately, that happens with today's generation. It's amazing to see the success that you were building. And like I said, I am older than you, but I am your biggest fan. I mean, whether it's on TikTok, which is where I discovered your content, who would have thought that this, just thought to be dancing application turns into be one of the most informative platforms that anyone could ever imagine. You're dropping 60 seconds, sometimes 3 minutes worth of content, and I'm engaged, and I'm like going down, let me replay it, let me double tap, let me watch it, let me share it, because I'm a huge comic book nerd along with a lot of my buddies. I'm constantly sending your video to them being like, yo, check this kid out, he is killing it. And it makes
so much
me happy, having not ever met you before this, to know that you're following your dream, taking your talents to LA, leaving Miami to pursue what you want to do. It is amazing to see. And again, from me to you, so proud of you. And I want to continue to watch you do amazing things.
Thank you so much, Julian. That truly means the absolute world, man. I just think, again, every single person watching this, I think we are all so damn powerful. We all have so many big things that we can do. It's just a matter of us finding the courage within ourselves to take that leap of faith. There's many people that would look to this situation, to my situation in particular, and say, LA, like that's halfway across the country. I've been born and raised in Miami. Everyone that I know and love is here. I'm not going to move to LA. I'm not going to move halfway across the country. And, in LA is tough. LA isn't sunshine and rainbows. They don't eat you up, chew you up, and spit you back out if you're not careful.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, it's not about being fearless. Courage is about taking action despite the fact that you're scared.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we all have fears. We all have things that hold us back. But stepping up to the plate, being the superheroes we could be, all of that is about doing it anyway, and not letting fear hold us back, not letting the hate and judgment and the criticisms that other people impose on us stop us from becoming who we were destined to be. So as long as we continue to follow through with what our heart is telling us, and continue to follow our hearts instead of the outside noise, well, then our hearts will guide us to the right place. Our hearts will guide us down the right path, and we'll become the people we're destined to be. And that's what this game of life is all about.
Man, you talk a lot about, superheroes being your inspiration. It sounds like you are the superhero that we need today. Positivity, positive messages. I mean, it's coming out of your pores at this point, man. You better bottle that thing up, start selling it on your merch page where you can get the secret stuff. Because that thing's going to go off the chart. I want to read you a quote, and I want you to tell me what it means to you. All right. So, this is my gift. This is my curse. I am Spider-Man.
This was the quote that changed my life. This was the quote that changed everything. And I think it just adds to everything I've been speaking on when it comes to building ourselves up. Because for me, I wasn't this confident young man you see here today. I wasn't always like this. I grew up being very insecure. I grew up being very ashamed of who I was and who I looked like. And it was because I was looking to the outside world for validation. And I feel like there's more people doing that today than ever before. But there came a day in my life where I started to view the things that make me different as a gift instead of a curse. And that's what that quote tells me. That quote says, "This is my gift. This is my curse. I am Spider-Man." What if the things in your life that make you different, what if those things were a gift instead of a curse? What if you were made to stand out? What if you were made to impact a certain group of people that are struggling with something, but now by you going through what you went through, you have that thing to give them. You have the solution, you have the healing, you have the experience to give to those group of people. For me, I was born with, you know, like a genetic disorder that 1% of human beings have. And growing up as a kid, I was called names like a monster. I was called all of these different things. And I was always ashamed of the way I looked and who I was as a person. But then there came a day where I heard that quote, "This is my gift. This is my curse. I am Spider-Man." And I internalized that for myself. I started to view the things that made me different as a gift and not a curse. And the question changed. It became, "God, why did you make me this way?" To God, "Thank you for making me this way. Thank you for making me different. Thank you for creating me with something that 1% of human beings are born with." And it's something that, again, we all have our differences. We are all as different internally as we are physically.
Yep.
And there's people that go throughout life being ashamed of those things that make them different inside. They're ashamed of a certain passion. They're ashamed of many different things. And if they were just able to find the courage within themselves to express that passion and be unapologetically themselves, then guess what? The world would be a much greater place. The world would be a much greater place with much happier people, because it's when we can be authentically ourselves, unapologetically, that we can truly show up to the table with the most to give, to bring the most value. And there's things in every single one of us that we can bring to the table that no one else can bring. There's gifts that you have, Julian, that you can bring to the table that I can't. And that's such a beautiful thing, because I have my gifts and you guys have your gifts. But you have to just continue to just be confident in yourself and who you are, because you were blessed a certain way for a reason. You were put on this earth for a reason. And again, with great power comes great responsibility. And we have the power within ourselves to go out there and make such a difference in the world. And I feel like there's a certain level of responsibility within all of us to show up to the table being vulnerable, to show up to the table willing to overcome all the fears and limitations that we have inside of us in order to serve someone else, in order to serve a greater purpose. Because at the end of the day, again, as great as we are as individuals, it's all about leaving a legacy. It's all about serving, making the world a better place for future generations to go and thrive. And I know that when the day comes that I pass and I leave this earth, I'm going to have left a legacy that many people can look back on and be inspired by. And it could light a fire inside of them to go out there and be unapologetically themselves. So like that, they can attract people that feed their flame and they could become something else. There's this quote by Tupac that it's always resonated with me, but he said, "It's not about changing the world. It's about lighting the spark for the person who will." And I carry that quote with me every single day, because again, that's my goal. It's not about me. It's not about what I'm going to do. It's not about the impact I'm going to make. It's about lighting the fire inside that one person, and that person will go on to change the rest of the world. And I think that's what this is all about. This is all about serving. It's all this is. And when you live to give, guess what? Life will give. The happiest people on this planet aren't the people who are getting everything. They're the people who are giving everything. When Christmas time comes around, you find more joy within yourself when you give presents than when you receive presents. Like, that is crazy on a scientific level. The fact that we can like biologically feel happier when we give instead of receive. Giving is in our DNA. It's in our nature. And I think more of us have to we have to resort back to that. We have to resort back to our true nature, which is coming from a place of just love, coming from a place of selflessness, coming from a place of, I need to show up and be a better person, so like that the people around me can live a better, much more happier life, and the world could be a better place.
I think it's the reason why a lot of people resonate with superheroes so much is because it promotes individuality and less about conforming to the norm. And in today's society, a lot of people are all about, let's not stray too far from the bunch because that's when we're most at risk. That's when we're most exposed. And that's where we are vulnerable. And when you are attacking a situation and say, hey, listen, this is the hand that I was dealt, and I can look at it two ways. I can sit here and I can complain and say, woe is me, or I can say, hey, listen, this is a blessing. This is something that no one else is going to go through, and I'm going to make it mine. I'm going to take this over and I'm going to use it as a positive instead of a negative. Well, it continues to inspire the next generation. And it's crazy because I'm telling you, as a 19-year-old guy, that you're inspiring the next generation of young kids who grow up watching superhero movies, TV shows, and they can see their own individuality being different than that of their friends who are at school or on their soccer team or whatever, and embrace that individuality, embrace the fact that they're unique, and take it and use it as their own and say, hey, this is a great thing for me. As we said, it is a gift, it is not a curse. And now what matters is how I use this gift to make the world a better place. And that is something that you're doing. That is something that you are inspiring the next generation of young people to do. And I know we're coming up a little bit on time, but I got a few rapid fire questions. Top of the
Let's do it.
dome. Tell me first thing that comes to your mind, and then we'll break it down a little bit afterwards. So here we go. Favorite superhero movie?
Favorite superhero movie, Avengers Endgame. I judge movies based on the way they make me feel, and no movie has ever made me feel the way Avengers Endgame made me feel. I was sobbing, crying, screaming, depressed, all in the span of like 15 minutes. And yeah, it was the biggest event in cinematic history. It took all of our high expectations that were already through the roof and somehow exceeded them. And it was just such a beautiful conclusion to the story that Marvel had been building for the past 12 years.
I don't know if we'll ever see something like that. I feel like it's hard. I feel like they continue to step their game up, and now people are going to have an expectation. But now I feel like Marvel's in a position to pivot and make you look at things a little bit differently instead of just continue to do the same thing. I'm very excited for what Marvel has in store for us. Most important superhero movie.
Most important superhero movie. That is a great one. I mean, there's so many, just because like there's so many different lessons that we can take from every single superhero movie. But for me, my personal most important superhero movie was probably Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire.
Okay.
Seeing the creation of Peter Parker on the big screen, beautifully portrayed by Tobey Maguire. Seeing his character go from losing Uncle Ben because of his actions to becoming this selfless, righteous hero by the end of the movie, who still has to suffer consequences. But guess what? He's willing to suffer the consequences in order to uphold that responsibility, because with great power comes great responsibility. So for my most important superhero movie that impacted me the most was definitely the first Spider-Man movie by Tobey Maguire.
Beautiful. All right. Which actor would you like to see join the realm of the superhero movies? So someone who hasn't been casted in a superhero movie yet, but you'd like to see join.
I would love to see Taron Egerton. I think he is a fantastic actor. He was great in the Kingsman franchise. He was amazing as Elton John and Rocket Man, snubbed to this day for an Oscar nomination. And yes, I would love to see Taron Egerton.
That's a great one. Best superhero power.
Best superhero power. I would probably say super speed.
Okay.
Yeah, super speed, just because it's so diverse. Like you have traversal, you have combat. Like there's so much you could do with super speed. It's the superpower I would definitely pick if I were to only have the choice of one superpower. So yeah, I would say super speed.
Most underrated superhero.
Most underrated superhero. That's a great one. There's so many. Well, let's talk about a hero that's coming to the MCU who I think is very underrated. I'm gonna say Moon Knight. Moon Knight.
Oh, yes.
Very underrated character. He's coming to the MCU in his own Disney Plus series. He's gonna be played by Oscar Isaac, and he's a character who's described by many as like Marvel's Batman, just because he's very dark, brooding. He has DID, which is a multiple personality disorder. And I think he's just going to bring something to the MCU that the MCU has never seen before. And I cannot wait to see him come come to the big screen.
Favorite superhero movie quote?
Favorite superhero movie quote? Oof. Hmm. This is my gift. This is my curse. I am Spider-Man.
I mean, Spider-Man gives you so many. I mean, with great power
So
comes great
many.
responsibility is arguably one of the greatest words ever. Forget movies, just in
Facts.
general, it is ultimately a great fact. Best actor in a superhero movie.
Best actor in a superhero movie. Oh, there's so many. There's Robert Downey Jr. obviously as Iron Man. Can't beat that. There's Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. I think he delivered such an amazing performance in both movies. Hugh Jackman, bro, nah. Hugh Jackman as Logan in Logan. I think that's the greatest performance. I also love the Christian Bale movies. But for me, Hugh Jackman and Logan, that was just such a beautiful performance and such a great way to end off his story and his run.
Best comic book villain.
Best comic book villain, Magneto.
Ooh,
Magneto.
okay, I like that one. I like that one. And last but not least, if I didn't ask you this would be a travesty. DC or Marvel?
DC or Marvel? Everyone's always this is the most probably the question I get asked the most. DC or Marvel? Honestly, I love them both just as much. I think DC does some things better than Marvel. I think Marvel does some things better than DC. But that's the beautiful thing about it is that they're both amazing in their own ways, right? DC is amazing in their ability to create outside of the interconnected universe, creating movies like Joker. Now they're doing a separate Batman franchise with Robert Pattinson, where they can do all of these different stories in different ways, in different universes where the consequences aren't as harsh, where there's like, it's just these like self-contained stories where it seems like on the Marvel side of things, everything is always on this massive scale just because they created this massive universe. But guess what? No one else in Hollywood has ever done that. No one else in Hollywood has ever created a cinematic universe the way Marvel has. And it's provided this beautiful, now with Black Widow, it's going to be a 24 movie journey plus the shows. Marvel's doing something that's never been done before, and they continue to change the game and pioneer the industry as a whole. So I think I love Marvel and DC both just as much. I think there's so much to learn from each and every single one of their heroes in so many different ways. So yeah, I love Marvel and DC just as much, not one over the other.
I mean, listen, I couldn't say it any better. I love them both. DC and Marvel are so different, but they operate in the same space. And it has inspired things like the Godzilla and King Kong franchises to go down like this dark, like movie series where they're now building all these different movies to bring them all together in their own team up films. Obviously, they're making a huge impact outside of just their realm of comic book movies, which is absolutely amazing. And again, they're changing the game. Matt, listen, thank you for joining me today. If people want to hit you up on social media and follow your amazing content, where can they find you?
Bro, first of all, thank you for having me on. It was truly an honor. Thank you for reaching out. Again, it was truly an honor to come on here and speak with you, bro. But if you guys are interested in checking out my content on social media, you can find me on TikTok, Supes. You can find me on YouTube, Supes. And then you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at The Real Supes. So I got to get my username back. But yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys got a lot out of this conversation. And I look forward to engaging with you guys further on my other platforms.
Awesome. Listen, the Big O Podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, so make sure you subscribe and leave a review. Also available on Spotify, Google Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts, with full episodes available up on YouTube. So make sure that you subscribe, and make sure you subscribe to Supes on YouTube as well, and hit that notification button so you can be updated anytime new videos are posted. For my guest, Matt, Supes Ramos, I'm your host, Julian Ortiz. Thank you for watching and listening, everyone. We'll see you next time.